Discipline and motivation are two very different concepts. Motivation is very emotional and it's very short term lived, whereas discipline is something you build up over a long period of time. I think we all get these bursts of these moments where we're just like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to get into this, and that's purely motivation. It doesn't last forever. Usually it doesn't last too long. But we often feel like, yeah, we're going to get onto this, we're going to start doing this, we're going to start doing that. But then ultimately you find yourself in a day, 2 days, 3 days a week, a few weeks, just not doing what you were planning on doing. And that's motivation. It's not always going to be around, in the tough days and the days that you don't really feel like doing that sort of thing. And this is where discipline comes in. Discipline is when you do the thing that you don't want to so many times to the point where it just becomes second nature, it just becomes a part of your routine. Discipline, you can discipline yourself to do anything, anything you don't like doing. If you just push yourself to do it over and over again, it makes it easier to do. And that's what I ultimately think discipline is, to me at least. It's being able to do something that you don't enjoy pretty easily because of the fact that you've been doing it so much and so frequently and so consistently that it just becomes second nature, and that's why I think it's extremely crucial and important thing for your life, for developing as a person and becoming a more skilled and more effective person overall. Habits and small habits are things that ultimately build up for these long-term things. I'm talking about motivation and discipline. And discipline, you need to discipline yourself into creating all these small habits, which ultimately build up. You need to focus on the system that you're doing, not just the big set goal. If you focus too much on the end goal, you won't realize, or you won't believe in the journey, and it almost makes the goal even harder. If you're just chasing the end goal, you might cut corners, you might be doing things that are ultimately not speeding up to reaching your end goal. If you build up all these little habits in your life, then you ultimately build yourself up to be a more efficient, more effective person, and you're going to tick all those boxes along the way, until eventually reaching your goal. Instead of just like setting a goal like, oh, I want to get fit, I need to get fit. How about you start off at the level you're at and focus on doing, oh, today I'm going to do this, tomorrow I'm going to do that. And don't just set yourself a goal for like 2 years from now. Yeah, 2 years from now I'm going to be massive, I'm going to be fit, I'm going to be calm, I'm not going to be fat anymore. You need to set little goals. You can have your long-term goal, but make sure you've got all these little actual achievable goals, and then build up these habits which will ultimately push you forward. You need to discipline yourself into yourself. You can't just be trying to thrive off motivation you get every 3 a.m. You've been staying up all night doing drugs, drinking, doing something unproductive. You need to discipline this into your life and be more effective. And there are ways that you can remove motivation from your life and not have that just hanging over your head, as in terms of like you needing it to get active. You need to make things automatic. You need to set up cues that initiate these activities that you want to be doing that you ultimately don't because you're being lazy. You need to put your gym clothes by the door, potentially. If you struggle getting out and going to the gym, put your stuff by the door, and it's going to pressure you to be like, okay, when I see that there at the door, I'm going to be doing that. When you get home, you need to start on some works and whatever it can be, open that up straight away. When those things are sitting there in front of your face, it's much easier than actually when you sit down and relax. You're on your phone, you're thinking, okay, I'll close my phone, I'll jump into that activity, and if that thing's just leaning out at you, it's open, it's ready to go, you're much more inclined to just jump in there and just get it done. And then another thing I would say is the 2-minute rule. So if it's something you don't like doing, instead of just jumping straight into it, just start by doing it for a small amount of time. 2 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, could be 30 seconds. If it's something that you don't like doing, start off by just doing it for a small period of time, and then slowly build that up. It slowly lowers the resistance, and you're slowly able to keep going for longer and longer. It's such a basic concept, yet a lot of people don't realize that this could be applied to any sort of thing you want to do. If it's having a cold shower, if it's reading a book, if it's going on the treadmill or doing a certain workout, slowly build up to that end goal. Don't just jump straight at it. Lower the resistance, break those walls down, and slowly build up to these sort of goals. building up towards these goals, it can be super beneficial. But another thing too is self-identity and mindset shift. So instead of thinking, okay, I might become this kind of person, I'm going to become a fit person, I'm going to become that, see, I am a fit person, I am someone who gets out there and be productive, and then you're almost like sort of guilt tripping yourself into, okay, I can't rest today, I'm not a lazy person, I'm a fit person, I'm a strong person, I'm a productive person, I do things to better my life, that's who I am. If you tell yourself that, I feel like you're more inclined to just do the right thing, you know. I'm not going to eat those chips and sit down and watch that show because I'm not that kind of person. If you constantly see yourself as I'm fat, I'm lazy, I'm this, I'm that, then you're just going to end up being that person. You need to shift and just change your life. I'm not that person. You know, I'm this person, and I'm going to discipline myself to keep going and become that person even more than I am right now. You're just going to keep grinding, keep striving towards becoming that person you want to be. We're going to keep striving to be that person we want to be. And another rule you can implement into this too is just the just show up rule. And this is similar to the resistance rule, where you start off small and slowly build up. But this is more in terms of like you're already in the flow. You've been doing this thing for a while, but you suddenly, maybe you missed it for a couple of days. Maybe you're slowly to unwind a bit, you know. Showing up and at least doing a small portion of the activity is better than just not doing it at all. Not doing it at all is like the worst thing you could possibly do. Even just looking at and just barely doing that thing for a few seconds is much more beneficial than not doing it at all. You know, it keeps it in your mind. The next time you go, or the next day that you're available to do that thing, you're going to remember, and muscle memory is going to kick in for you to be doing that. If you start missing it, it's just going to build up for more and more misses. I know this ultimately myself. As soon as I'm like, okay, just this one time I want to do this one thing, and then it just slowly leads to days, weeks, months, and you just slowly miss out on doing this sort of thing that you've told yourself, oh, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that. And it's just a really bad habit. You cannot fall into that trap. It will set you back. You do not want to be there.